So hello there. Today I'm offering a perfect plan, a perfect recipe for anyone wanting to self-destruct. That's right. I've highlighted elements of research, found the human weak spots and formulated a plan that anyone can follow to effectively engage in complete self-destruction. And I'm sharing that here today. The way to create a veritable apocalypse in your life. I love watching nature programs on TV. In particular, I love wildlife programs. I thoroughly enjoy watching a study and commentary on the existence of particular breeds, groups, or collections of wildlife. I love technology for bringing that footage directly to my home from the far reaches of the world, in the jungles or at the bottom of the oceans and desert landscapes. And if you ever watch nature programs on television, or if you ever take time to study animal life, you see that for animals, much of their life is dedicated to simply surviving. That is, they battle other animals and the elements and the climate just to survive, to find food, to raise their young and cope with existence. That they have a will to survive, and they struggle against all manner of challenges, but are driven to survive, to protect themselves and their children, and they do all all they possibly can to avoid mistakes or anything that could lead to their own destruction. And us humans seem to be quite different to that, don't we? That is, we seem to engage in a wide variety of behaviours that are destructive to ourselves and those around us. We human beings mistreat our bodies. We get stressed out. We act to the detriment of each other sometimes. Sometimes even destroying ourselves. I think animals would think us all mad for the way in which we are sometimes. Ongoing research and much science gives us some insight into why such a highly evolved, highly intelligent species, such as us humans, can at times be so self-destructive and harmful. There's a great deal of existential debate to be had about our reasons for existing, but surely one of the simplest reasons for existence is also one of the most valid, to exist, to just exist. Yet much of what humans engage in tends to be self-destructive and harmful to the very existence of life. If more of us were to actively engage in more of the behaviours and habits highlighted here today in this video, the species would surely struggle, as many of those in the animal kingdom find, and many might seem innocuous, but prolonged active engagement in this stuff is harmful for sure. If I were the baddie or the master criminal from comic books or sci-fi films, I think I'd simply encourage more of these types of behaviours rather than trying to build a Mega Blaster ray gun to hold the world to ransom. So today, I'm here today, I'm offering you the perfect recipe for self-destruction. If you'd like your very own existence to implode, simply do these following 10 things. So first of all, physically neglect yourself. This is quite an easy and basic thing to do. Lots of people seem to have caught on to this one. I mean, you just need to look at the obesity and diabetes epidemic hitting Western world currently. The easiest way to start with truly neglecting your body is, of course, to look at how you eat, because this results in many long-term health issues. So ideally, dedicate yourself to eating lots of sugary stuff, lots of processed foods, especially lots of processed carbohydrates. Where possible, wash it all down with fizzy, sweet drinks, and ideally drink plenty of alcoholic beverages on a regular basis, every night. And make sure that you eat far too much, to excess. That is, even when you are full, ignore your body's groans and eat more. Shovel it in there, especially yellow foods, chips, crisps, bread, pasta. Gorge yourself on that stuff. If that sounds too challenging, then of course undereat instead. Deceive yourself into thinking that you are benefiting by not eating enough. To hell with serious self-image problems or other psychological problems that could be addressed by credible professionals. One of the things that poor eating, excessive sugar consumption and constant alcohol will do for you is it'll help to ensure that you have very poor non-restful sleep also, which is perfect for self-destruction. Ensure that you get 4 hours max, ideally less, and that'll start to ensure that you have cognitive impairment to match the physical problems that you are encouraging. But it's a beautifully double-edged sword that will also ensure that your body kind of descends into poorer health by refusing to get quality sleep. It won't repair, it won't heal or revitalize, and won't give you the energy that you need or the inclination to go and do anything about it. So just on the heels of that, be sedentary, opt for the least amount of physical activity possible, drive everywhere, watch a lot of TV, be seated for as much of the day as possible, take lifts instead of stairs, take shortcuts where possible, drive anywhere further than the next street, okay? If you really wish to add the sort of metaphorical icing on the cake with regards to the ongoing destruction of your body, then adopt some further bad habits too. Ideally smoking, that's still currently legal, but if you can get your hands on anything illegal, especially drugs bought online, online made, drugs that have been made in foreign countries with no regulations or health and safety procedures, that's really going to speed up your self-destruction. As with so many things that I speak about in this video, all of these things would not seem so bad were it not for the fact that humans are such creatures of habit. Research shows that if you establish your poor habits really well, use them in ways that ensure that they provide some emotional meaning, a sort of false crutch, or as a way of dealing with adversity, then you're going to ensure that that habit is very tough to let fall by the wayside. So combining smoking with drinking alcohol is also ideal for self-destructionists. That's a new term that I created for this video. I'd create a movement to unite self-destructionists with each other, but that might become useful and supportive, and we don't really want that. So ideally drink when you are feeling miserable, and it'll help ensure that you wake up just as miserable, if not worse. It'll ensure that you descend downwards, and for self-destruction that's what we need. Cindy Jardine of the University of Alberta studied why people cling to bad habits and cites a number of reasons. Therefore, to ensure that you cling to the bad habits so that you can really self-destruct with flair, then you've got to be defiant in the face of advice, assume that the bad habits offer you social acceptance, refuse to truly understand the nature of the risk of that habit, and rationalize and justify these habits in any way you can, in particular by telling yourself and others about your grandfather, for example, who has smoked until he was 85. This point alone should give you a solid foundation on the road to self-destruction. Now, let's add to physical neglect, and let's talk about self-destructive body and mind. So having damned our body to the fiery cesspits of hell, let's get holistic now and incorporate mind and body principles into our self-destruction. The next important component then is to adopt as self-defeating a mindset as possible. In order to really bring on the depression and the anxiety that we need to self-destruct, we must truly believe that we are incapable of actually doing anything much in life with any degree of success or satisfaction. So start to be really unduly tough on yourself, ideally some unreasonable criticism on the hour, every hour, and reminding yourself of everything you ever failed at. And do use the word failure, as it will really hit the message home with some impact. And what's more, never learn from those failures. Just dwell morbidly upon them. Then ruminate excessively upon them. Filter reality in such a way that you discount anything and everything positive. Anything nice, enjoyable, or happy must be negated. If you let that stuff in, you'll only start feeling better, and that will inhibit your self-destruction. So make sure that you believe in those thoughts, those negative thoughts, okay? Invest yourself in them. Treat them like they are truth, and they'll become incredibly harmful, they're ideally becoming self-fulfilling prophecies, and that makes self-destruction so much easier. Repeat phrases like, I'm going to fail, I'm trapped, I'll never be happy, I'll never be fulfilled. You get the general gist. Dig up all the most negative and depressing thoughts possible. Ideally, use quotes from people who are good at putting others down, and then repeat them over and over in your head and treat them as facts. So another great way to adopt a truly self-destructive, negative mindset is to engage in forced incompetence. That is, tell yourself that you lack confidence, that you are incapable of doing certain things, and then attach it to your identity. Convince yourself and the world around you that you are a particular type of person. Convince yourself, I'm just not a very happy person, or I'm just not very good at this type of thing. Or, I've never really been good at a XYZ. Just assume that others have a natural flair or a gift for the things that you are no good at. Assume it's some genetic predisposition and blame that on your inability. Then it's important to believe it and defend it. If possible, blame teachers, blame friends, blame family a bit for those things too. That will ensure that you take no responsibility. And it's going to lead us perfectly onto my next, the third item on our list here. And that is, you've got to choose passivity. You've got to choose inaction. These first two seem like they require some effort. I'm sorry about that. The good news is, though, that it's actually quite easy to self-destruct with those two under your belt. But one thing you can start doing today that's really easy, much easier, is this: nothing. That's right, do nothing, nada. It's good news for self-destructive fans because you don't get too happy about this, because that may make you feel better. So be passive, choose inaction, make no effort whatsoever to perform well or to overcome anything or to engage in useful behaviors or to seek assistance or to learn more information or to educate yourself about how to be well. Ideally, you probably want to stop watching this video altogether right now, and so on. So ideally you want to switch off, tune out, opt out. Do not let yourself learn from any kind of experience and just do things in the same fashion as you've always done. It's particularly things that have led to problems, and things that have led to failure or setbacks, and let them weigh heavily upon you. Excessively ruminate, run that stuff over in your mind so that it fuels the self-destruction effectively. Recognize what's bad for you and then do nothing about it. Let it happen again. Be passive about it, passive to it. This will guarantee future failures, hopefully. And we really need more of that for self-destruction. I nearly said successful self-destruction, but there's no place for that S word here. We want D words, destruct, destroy, and so on. So our the next thing is to be a victim, poor me attitude. Virginia Satir, the family therapist, wrote of this a great deal. You need to avoid her work if you want to effectively self-destruct. When you properly adopt a poor me mindset, you engage in excessive self-pity. And this will make everything else that I've spoken about, that I speak about in this video, a lot easier to do. So make sure that you feel really sorry for yourself, feel bad for yourself, highlight your own shortcomings consistently, emphasize your weaknesses, and insist that you were put on this planet to fail and be miserable. And know that by doing this, you will remain miserable. That's important. Let these thoughts drag you down. Let them weigh on you. This is going to really help you stay passive, help you stay inactive. So it's a good one to master. Our fifth point is to be horrible, be horrible to others in particular. To really self-destruct well, you need to ostracize yourself from others and treat your fellow humans poorly. There's a wide number of ways to do this. I'm going to speak about some of the more prominent ones here. Firstly, you want to be rude and abrasive. So really take your misery out on others for no apparent reason where possible. In fact, if you have no real reason, this is better. Resist any urges to be kind to others, as this is going to result in your day being brightened up. This also leads to you being kind to yourself, and that's going to prevent a speedy self-destruction. If, however, you persist with being mean to others, your words, your intentions, your thoughts, they're going to start to sort of manifest in your life too, and ideally result in illness, isolation, and just general unpleasantness. You want to lie, where possible, engage in lying, mistruths, deception. Humans lie a great deal according to studies, so it should be pretty easy for you to engage in. The University of Massachusetts psychologist Robert Feldman states that lying is tied to low self-esteem. In particular, he states that we find that as soon as people feel that their self-esteem is threatened, they immediately begin to lie at higher levels. So the next part, be a gossip. Within this, like being horrible, start to garner a culture of unfairly judging and talking about others. Be oblivious to how hurtful it might be to other people. In one nature study that I followed, Oxford primatologist Robert Dunbar demonstrated that baboons groom each other to keep social ties strong. As humans are more evolved, things like gossip can become a learned behaviour that sort of helps us connect with others at the expense of some. So ensure that you have no regard for the truth or accuracy, and establish a kind of faux gossip-induced relationship with at least one other person at the expense of others. And there are, of course, many other ways to be horrible to other people. Being manipulative, domineering, aggressive, violent would also be ideal if you can be bothered. But this little lot that I've spoken about so far should really get you started on the road to that. And the great thing about this point, this being horrible to others, is that it does also help advance the next one. And that is to go for social isolation. And this one is particularly easy to do right now with the global pandemic. Avoid real life human interaction as much as possible. Obviously, this means less opportunity to gossip or lie, but things balance themselves out in the end. Isolate yourself from friends and family and peers as much as possible. Ideally, lessen your connection with society in general. Think of ways that you can alienate friends and family in particular, because they're the types of people who you run the risk of feeling loved and supported from, and from whom you benefit in many ways from the sort of connection. Some good ways of doing this, to insult them, instigate arguments, never resolve arguments, let the issue go on too long. Ideally ignore their attempts at engaging with you via any kind of media platform. If you cannot attend social gatherings and in particular special occasions, this is going to help too. It'll help you become far more effective self-destructionist. Instill the overriding theme of social suicide. Deliberately alienate yourself. Establish yourself as irritating, repelling, antisocial. And if you can be bothered, do behaviours that promote this way of perceiving. Or being perceived. Sabotage interpersonal relationships, that you somehow managed to establish before you became a fully committed self-destructionist. The best way to go about this is to adopt a set of behaviours that include being jealous, possessive, manipulative, needy. If you've done some of these earlier steps and stuff that I've been speaking about, you'll not feel worthy of love, and this stuff will be much easier to do. You want to make sure that you don't feel anything. So next up is that you want to numb your emotions. Plug your emotions, don't let them show. Don't share them, don't vent them in what therapists or psychological folk suggest are healthy ways. Put a cork in it. Hold it all in, especially painful emotions, but happy ones too. If you can, numb those emotions by continuing your ongoing use of alcohol and drugs in particular. This helps to hide from emotions. Do put a fake happy face on as well to fool the world, to be really good at self-destruction. You really need to do it alone. Don't let others know what you're up to, because they will ruin self-destruction for you. Keep looking for the negatives in life, and you're going to find them, and then be as numb as possible in response. I like to refer to this as emotional unintelligence, or emotional stupidity. It is an important ingredient in our recipe for self-destruction that I'm offering up here today. So our next point is to refuse assistance. And this is important. If anyone has somehow spotted what you are up to, they might attempt to intervene, and you don't want that. You need to repel them. Friends and family must be kept away. Go solo with this. Likewise, there's no room in the self-destructionist's life for therapy. Or coaching, just see that as having a ridiculous stigma attached to it. Turn your nose up at it. You must fail to acknowledge that you need help. Even the smallest discussion can alleviate some self-destructive efforts. So reject advice, embrace self-sabotage, tell yourself repeatedly that you simply don't care. Importantly, our next point is to get stressed and worried. Stress is the ideal place for self-destruction. It's going to thrive on that. Stress can take years off our life. It can contribute to heart-related illness, other forms of illness. It can also lead to depression, and it'll be a lot more effective when you've got all the other elements in place on the list. To really advance stress, bring your work pressures home with you. Let them interfere with your personal life, your personal world. In particular, let them affect your family in the way in which you relate to them. Use social media excessively so that work and other world issues can stress you out in your free time and at all hours. You don't want to escape from that stuff. You don't want any respite. So all hours of the day or night, you want to be exposed to the things that antagonize you. Again, to re-emphasize an earlier point, make sure you deal with it by drinking, eating too much sugar, consuming caffeine, not sleeping well. This will ensure that it really gets to proper self-destructive levels. If you worry, you ensure that your brain spends lots of time on that worry, and it's then unable of being creative or happy or solution focused. And so do make sure that you worry to excess. And my final point is to really sacrifice yourself. It's simple, short. Give up on your dreams. Abandon hope. Ignore any passions. Refuse to put yourself first. Don't find beauty. So there you go. Gather your metaphorical cauldron. Get it bubbling over a roaring fire. Throw in all these ingredients. Sit back and watch your self-destruction occur. A lot of people that have studied with me or worked with me or know me personally may well know that I was quite self-destructive as a younger man, that I chose an alternative direction thereafter, and may well be suspecting a degree of irony in this video. In order to self-destruct effectively, like a special message on the Mission Impossible films, you need to ignore irony, and you certainly would not want to reverse all of these things in order to make yourself happy, fulfilled, and satisfied with life. So do subscribe. That's it. Do subscribe to this channel. You'll get notifications of my latest videos as they happen. Do go visit my college website for details about upcoming classroom-based courses and all about online courses and hypnotherapy, self-hypnosis. I send you my very best wishes. Goodbye for now.